Chisholm, and I call the member for Barton.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Today marks the 29th anniversary of the the High Court decision in Mabo. 10 years ago, Eddie Koiki Mabo and his comrades started the legal battle for the recognition of the Mirram people and the ownership of Mer Island. Until that day, the legal fiction of Tura Nullius, the land belonging to no one, had characterised Australian law and land titles since the voyage of Captain Cook. The High Court decision in Mabo 29 years ago, changed the legal face of land ownership for First Nations people forever. And it changed in a seismic way Australian law with the recognition of common law rights in native title and native title. The most important thing to remember about that day for First Nations people is it threw out the legal doctrine of terra nullius. This had been for hundreds of years in this country, or nearly 200 years in this country, the way in which land title was seen. That the Australian continent, including the Torres Strait, was claimed by the British under that doctrine that this land belonged to no one. And of course we know, with over 60,000 years of history and management of country and connection to country, that was an absolute ridiculous notion. Yet it was the law in this country until Eddie Koiki Mabo and his comrades had that overturned in the High Court. On Monday this week, along with the leader of the Labor Party and many caucus members, I went to the ACT government's 4th annual Reconciliation Day up at the National Arboretum. It was an amazing experience to see so many people from Canberra, families out and about, on the fact that this territory is the only jurisdiction in Australia that has a national holiday to remind the country it is Reconciliation Week. Reconciliation Week has finished, and it finished yesterday. And it is bookended by, of course, the 26th of May, which reminds us of the referendum that saw Aboriginal people counted for the first time in the Australian census and gave the responsibility to the Commonwealth Government for laws pertaining to Aboriginal people. And it's bookended at the back of Reconciliation Week by today, which is now known as Mabo Day. But one of the things that's important to note, Mr Deputy Speaker, is that it is also the 4th anniversary of the Uluru Statement. Labor is fully supportive, as the member for Barara knows, and I know his involvement and support of the Uluru Statement, and I acknowledge that. That the Uluru Statement contains 3 things. Firstly, an enshrined voice to the Constitution. Labor has made a commitment that we will have a referendum in our first term of government towards that goal. But the other is the establishment of a Makarrata Commission that has 2 incredibly complex and lengthy things and expensive things to do, and that is a national process of truth-telling, as well as, of course, a national process of agreement and treaty-making. Neither of those things are easy, but Labor is putting meat on the bones of what that might look like and what it might cost and how we might take that forward. And I want to make it very, very clear that a voice in the Constitution or a voice to the Parliament, in whatever form it takes, does not mean that we cannot proceed on the other parts of the Uluru Statement. On Monday night, of course, we also had a wonderful example of Aboriginal people talking to the Australian community.
I thank the member